This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I think this is gonna be the last review I can do for a while. It's probably not a coincidence that I've seen the last movie, a somewhat surreal, definitely metafictional drama from 1971 directed by Dennis Hopper. Set in and around a Peruvian village, it follows a stuntman and stunt coordinator named Kansas who decides to stick around after filming has wrapped. Although he lives somewhat lavishly with a local lover, he quickly grows tired and cynical about this lifestyle, turning his attention towards other Americans living in the area and engaging in drunken and abusive behaviors against others and himself. All the while, he chooses to ignore an issue brought to his attention. The abandoned set pieces of the film shoot have been taken over by local townspeople who have engaged in an almost ritualistic film shoot of their own, not only without any real equipment, but without knowing how to fake any of the violence being portrayed. As interesting as that part of the story may be, it isn't given too much attention compared to Kansas and his life in the area, both during the initial movie shoot and after he chooses to stay. It is a bit interesting to see how he changes over time, from a disillusionment with the Hollywood system to a detestment of the Peruvian countryside, eventually having nowhere to turn his ire but himself. There is a possible argument to be made that his presence and that of the other Americans is a metaphor for colonialism, not only in how Kansas comes to treat the locals or how others treat him, but also how the initial film shoot served to influence the natives in a rather negative manner. That might be a bit of a stretch though, since it isn't a major story element. In fact, pretty much all of the story is scattered around, or it's at least lacking a straightforward narrative flow, almost seeming to insert specific story ideas into whatever constitutes the main storyline, whenever it feels like. It's probably better to look at the film as a character study, given the focus on Kansas and what could be considered his take on the American dream. That might actually be one of the stronger themes here, come to think of it, especially when taken into consideration with the other theme of filmmaking. For example, there is an argument to be made here about how there is a power in cinema to make fiction appear real. From the Peruvian people and their interpretation of the filmmaking process, to Kansas talking with a friend about what gold looks like, based entirely on how it looks in movies. This whole metatextual element about movies doesn't feature too much into the story itself, but it's a major factor in the film's technical elements. Although what it does is a bit sporadic or only appears once or twice, the various means of playing with the fourth wall are not only interesting to see included within the film, but also to see how they do play into their respective scenes, whether it's from a film crew member's point of view or an implicit element of a mental breakdown. The editing is where this comes forth most of all, whether it be the incorporation of a scene missing title card or the use of a candid outtake as if it were scripted footage. In a bit of a contrast to all of this, much of the movie remains straightforward, with relatively minor bits of non-narrative storytelling besides the first dozen minutes or so. Cinematography is grounded, colors are entirely natural, and music choices are even appropriate for the countryside folk setting of the film. Overall, the production seems pretty standard, and the story is a bit more difficult than it needs to be, but the actual experience of the film and everything that you and the characters are put through help to elevate this movie somewhere into both a story of disillusionment in the face of success and a truly artistic cinematic statement. Or something like that, anyways. The Last Movie. Dennis Hopper, 1971. 4.5 stars. I definitely recommend giving it a watch. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for... oh, right. The battery's almost out. You know, this all probably feels anticlimactic, but I don't really know what else to say or do about it. I'll try to figure something out. But until then, I guess I'll just be back to trying to escape this place on my own, if that was ever a thing. Thanks for watching. I'll be fine.